Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1 minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that in psychology, rationalization is a defense mechanism in which controversial behaviors or feelings are justified and explained in a seemingly rational or logical manner to avoid the true explanation and may be made consciously tolerable by plausible means?
I did not know that, but it makes sense.
What am I talking about? I'm talking about excuses.
Excuses. Excuses.
And I just want to thank Wikipedia for this painful self-retrospective moment of the Marvel Movie Minute. Wow. Let me just say this. There's not a lot to talk about in this minute, but we'll get to it. But there's a word and there's a whole bunch of meaning we'll get into. But when we talked about excuses, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. I just want to see what's the definition of excuses. I went down a bit of a self-analytic rabbit hole, and I have to say, wow, I'm disappointed in myself. When I got into this, and I was like, wow, when I make an excuse for something, what am I really trying to say? What am I thinking? What am I doing? What's the real problem? And I went, oh boy. Anyway, what are we talking about again? Not me. What?
We're talking about minute 113 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, directed by Mr. Jon Favreau. And we're picking up where we left off, which is Tony is swooping in to save Pepper from the exploding drone at her feet. She's still mesmerized by the flashy red lights and the beepy sound and has no idea what's going on. He swoops in and grabs her, and then Disney activates the pyro. Boo! I mean, like, it really is, like, it looks just like, reflections of Earth at Epcot or something. I mean, it's full on just like pew, pew. I mean, it's like, it doesn't look horrible and vicious. It really looks pretty. Like, I mean, there's all these, like, plumes of fire coming off the side as, like, all the drones explode all over the
expo grounds.
Yeah, the expo grounds. Yeah. And so you get to see and he flies way through, and then it goes over and land. Now, the original plan was that they were going to have them land on the observation tower. Remember, we saw that thing where he sort of strafed it when War Machine was under the control of Ivan. That was where they were going to land, but they realized that was probably still too close to the explosion. Right. So they were trying to figure out, okay, well, then where are they going to land? And Jon Favreau said, why don't you have them land at my house? And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, my building that I grew up in is across the street from the fairgrounds. So the building they land on is Jon Favreau's childhood home.
What?
He lived on the 12th floor of that 15-story building, and his window looked out on those grounds, which when he was a kid were nothing. I mean, they were empty. They were, they were not used for pretty much almost anything. Maybe, a swap meet or something. But he looked at that. So that's one of the things that inspired him to decide it there is because that's what he had been looking at as he was a kid, looking out there. So this is literally his building that they land on.
Okay. This is why I love this. Right? This is why I love doing this. That kind of stuff is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Plus, it does make more sense because as we have the final shot here, one of the final shots here of the Stark Expo, you see the pavilion. Yeah, it's too close to the explosions. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So this certainly makes more sense, and it gives this awesome backdrop to what is about to happen over the next 2 minutes. But come on, like it's
right.
Oh, jeez,
it's like
a pretty awesome view. I mean, I gotta say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's New Jersey, so like they're looking over the highway, of course, first, and then the grounds. But yeah, like it's literally even that side of the building that they're on is the one that he used to look out on.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. This also, I can tell you, this was the last day of principal photography. So this conversation that happens between Pepper and Tony, well, for this minute, it's Pepper and Tony. This was their last day filming. So it seems, obviously, we're going to play a little retcon game here. Now, it seems to me that Pepper is reacting. Gwyneth Paltrow, acting as Pepper, is reacting to Whiplash having a whip at her throat and then flying away as Rhodey hits with the. I mean, like, that is what was in her head in terms of the last scene, because she was thinking that was so the Pepper's reaction is not actually a reaction to Iron Man swooping and saving her. It's to being almost murdered, strangled by Whiplash still with the residue of whipped cream on his mouth. He still had whipped cream breath at the time. I mean, that's right. That's all she's thinking about right now. Like, I can still smell it.
Vodka,
right,
whipped
vodka,
cream.
whipped cream.
Jeez.
And so I know it's just one of those, like, as you look at it and go, oh, it's interesting. Like, she was more reacting to, like, almost being, strangled to death, as opposed to, like, hey, that's weird. Oh, and then Tony swoops in and saved her, which has happened, already.
Right.
It's not the first time that Iron Man has swooped in and grabbed her. Is it?
No.
I don't think it is.
No.
Now I'm starting to question it.
Oh, geez. Someone's going to correct us on this.
Right. I'm trying to remember because I don't remember a time that he swoops in and saves her. I mean, like, he swoops in and, like, takes a hit or like stuff, but, like, actually to pick her up and fly with her.
Right.
Wow, is this Pepper's first flight?
We'll hear about it.
We'll hear about it. Yeah.
Tell us.
Right.
Now, okay, but here's the thing. What I like about this is that it doesn't change. Like, this scene still works. If this was part of the original story based on him saving her from the original sequence of the ending.
Oh, yeah. Still works. I'm just one of those fun things from my head.
Oh, no, absolutely. Her horror is still there, and I will say it works because, okay, can you imagine from her perspective what just happened?
Yeah.
All of that stuff happened. She's standing there. She's by herself. She's looking at this thing. She probably senses something bad's about to happen. Mm-hmm. And before she knows anything else, a large mechanical figure has taken her, whisked her at a ridiculous amount of acceleration into the sky.
Right.
Explosions are happening and then lands her on the rooftop. I mean, okay, that's traumatic.
Yeah.
Like, you can't underline, like, how ridiculous that experience would be. Yeah, her reaction it works both ways, fortunately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah. It was nice. They didn't have to reshoot this thing either. Like, it fits right in because she's traumatized. And so that she's playing trauma, and that's perfect right. So they go right back into their normal role. So Pepper says, oh, my God, I can't take this anymore. Tony says, you can't?
Really?
Okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah, Pepper says, I can't take this. Tony says, look at me. Pepper says, my body literally cannot handle this stress. Using literally correctly. Way to go, Pepper.
Oh.
Using that. I don't know do we know where she went to school? I was gonna give her a shout out in terms of, like, using that Ivy League education, but I didn't necessarily want to put that on her because she's a California girl, so I don't know. Anyways, not Gwyneth, but specifically Pepper. I don't know. Anyways.
Right.
I assume there's something hanging on the wall somewhere. Okay, so she continues. I never know if you're going to kill yourself or wreck the whole company. Tony says, I think I did okay. Like, it's such a great Robert Downey Jr. reading of that. I think I did okay. And then, of course, Favreau being Favreau, a huge explosion goes off behind him as soon as he says that.
Do you love? Okay, I love that that's in there.
Yeah. So good.
I did all right.
I did okay. Boom. Yeah.
Which I still gotta say. Okay, we've talked about body counts before. When all these explosions went off, some people died.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing too. Is as we're sort of like, stress and bickering and stuff too. I'm like, yeah, there's dead bodies down there. There's like that explosion. Like, you saved one person, good on you. But, like,
nice. But let me tell you,
that place was not clear.
No, I mean, that's kind of
even if
you
it's just
remove
the cops.
Yourself from this. But,
yeah,
like,
I know.
No, not every. You didn't do okay by everybody. Let's just say that.
When you give it more than 5 minutes thought, it is a little disconcerting that they're having this, like,
Yes.
Kiss him when there's, like, dead people on the.
I did think of this, and when you hear that boom, that's kind of like the little wink nudge, like, yeah, I mean, not so much, dude, but whatever, it's okay. Anyway.
Because I know that now we're all about Tony's growth. So Pepper says, I quit. I'm resigning. That's it. Tony said, what did you just say? You're done? That's surprising. No, it's not surprising. I get it. You don't have to make excuses.
Oh, God.
They're right back into it. Okay. It's just like when you're a kid, when you just say your parents are there, you're like, oh, no.
No, here's the thing.
Don't make eye contact.
And that's why I laughed when I went into the deep dive on excuses. I was like, wow, like, when you get to the heart of that, he's not saying it. The growth part of this is that he's clearly saying it as a way to agitate her for a good thing, to motivate her. Right. He is not saying it from a demeaning or, to build himself up. No, I mean, that's definitely what I think you get the point here. So
he's riling her up like he always does.
Yes.
I mean,
but with a different sense of being. And by the way, we should also note, this is the first exchange face to face between Pepper Potts and the healed Tony Stark.
Oh, that's true. Yes. They had a sort of weird video conference chat FaceTime thing that happened via Natasha, but this is the first time they've actually been, face to face since then. And now that he's, going to be alive.
Right.
And not have to worry about think about, him dying. But of course she didn't know he was dying either. So Pepper always out of the loop. So she says, I'm not making any excuses. Tony says, you actually were just making excuses, but you don't have to. Pepper said, no, I wasn't making an excuse. I'm actually very justified. Tony says, listen, hey, you deserve better. Pepper says, well, Tony said, you've taken such good care of me. And that's where the minute ends. I'm like, oh, come on. Man, the algorithm is being really cruel to us in these last couple minutes.
Yeah, it really has here near the end. There's a much more, the bigger meat is to come in the next
goes on there, but so we're back to Tony and Pepper being Tony and Pepper and this leading up. So, but interesting from where it goes, this is nothing about this is romantic at this point. This is all just still job and
it's slow. It's a slow burn. It's slowly warming up.
And towards the end of a movie, it shouldn't be this slow. We need to...
Well, he did just insult her to her face.
Well, what's new?
I think I did all right. Using Tony's words.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing else much more to... I mean, we do have the great... the kind of the view of the battle damage on his suit.
Yep. We didn't even talk about him taking the helmet off. That was a nice effect.
So nice effect. One, that everything is consistent. So everything is consistent from the battle that he just had.
Yeah.
So and that one big slash that Ivan does, you can see the remnants of that. And I love the idea that the helmet sort of, this is it. It made its case as much as it could in terms of protecting Tony.
Yeah.
And now it's fully malfunctioning to the point that he's got to get it off. Either he's going to get burned or something. Who knows, because of the chemical or the electrical impulses that are coming out of it. And I kind of like that because, okay, do you want me to get really deep?
Sure.
So that happens with the mask. Pepper has her eyes covered, and it's almost like Tony is throwing off the final shell of his former self.
Wow.
And then Pepper is opening her eyes up to see Tony in his new and whole form. Oh, so what's in the next minute?
I think that deserved that much reaction.
Yeah, listen.
I'm just going to let that stand by itself. I don't need to comment on
that. I'm very happy right now as movies. But anyway, never mind. So that's it. That's all we got for this minute.
So, as this is awkward discourse, where's the best place to go for awkward discourse? Why, it's Facebook. Yes, that's right. We have our very own Facebook group. It's called the Marvel Movie Minutes Next Reel Film Podcast Executive Lounge. Feel free to hop in, have the old discussion, have your own awkward discourse, just like we're having here. In homage of the really odd way that we're decompressing after a major CG fight.
I just want to say it's not awkward when it's honest.
And the awkwardness continues because we're going to get into third wheels here when we get to minute 114. You don't want to miss it. Enough said.
Bye.